You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome everyone to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis, and I'm here with
Nathan Brockett,
Daphne Troyer,
and Casey Adcock.
Welcome you all. Last time we talked about relapse, return to use, and I thought this time we should talk about one of the things that sometimes can lead to that, but doesn't have to. It's life on life. You know, how once we either get out of treatment or once we get sober, however we do that, whatever your recovery looks like, life's going to happen. You know, it's not, it can be hard. I mean, it is for most of us. And for me, the program is what taught me how to deal with the life on life. It's not letting those things affect me to the point of making them worse by returning to use and, getting down into self-pity. It's about focusing on the positive for me. But there's all kinds of things that different people deal with in different ways, and some of them good, some of them bad, but it's going to come at you. And that's the program, whatever program you work, should be trying to help you, gear you towards how to deal with those things, man. So I wanted to have you guys on to kind of discuss that, or maybe tell some stories about some things that you've gone through in your recovery and how you've dealt with them. I know for me, the first big one was my grandpa passing, and that happened on Thanksgiving, right after I had left Centerpoint, and I was working here at Turning Point. Yep. We were feeding people in recovery who didn't have a place to go all day, chairing gratitude meetings. I was in a good space. I felt good, and then my mother called me at the end of the day and told me that my grandpa had passed. And he had been struggling with prostate cancer for a little while, but I was in such a attitude of gratitude at that moment that I was able to, instead of it using it as an excuse and poor pitiful me, like my grandpa's gone, which it did hurt, but I was able to look at it like he's no longer in pain. He's in a better place. He's with my grandma again. He got to see me get my life back together before he passed, because for the last 30 years, I was in the madness. So, and it was only through this program and through relying on my brothers and sisters through that process that I was able to, deal with it in that way and not make it affect me to the point of making it worse. I mean, I believe that he's looking down on me, and, the last thing he would have wanted was to see me to mess all that up over his passing. Yeah. And that's just one example of one of the things I've dealt with on Life on Life. But Nathan, tell us about your perspective on it.
Okay, so, you guys know me, especially you. I've through the ringer, I haven't been per se. Recovery brought me a lot of good stuff because life sucked real bad. I spoke about this yesterday when I was giving my lead. Like the comparison to what life is today versus what it was is night and day, like literally dark and light. So I remember when I was in treatment, you always hear about you gotta be ready for life on life's terms, life on life, all this stuff. And it was like there was this big scary monster outside
where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, they always had to do push-ups. Okay, I get it. Like there's this big scary monster out there waiting on me named Life on Life. And in my mind, I'm like, I've been through life on life, man. I didn't do well. And, I didn't do very well at all. And, so here I am, just stuck, anxiety, worried about the future. Okay. And then I realized, I don't know where it hit me at one point, but the light that they shined on life was not as bad as I made it out to be. Okay. So life on life for me is just reality. It is what is here in the now, what's happened, what's gonna happen, call it what you want, I'll just call it reality, and how I navigate through that reality is the important part. to me, it's not about what happens, what's going to happen, what has happened. It's about me and my perspective on the situation when it happens. So in your case, man, I watched you go through that whole thing. You didn't miss a beat. You know what I mean? And so that's how I hope to be if I ever have a dire situation happen in my life. And if you want to talk about life on life in a positive note, man, I mean, my little boy's in 6 days is going to be a year old. You know, I had my first son in recovery. I've owned my own vehicle in recovery. I'm in a very healthy relationship in recovery. I got a job that I love. I'm in school in recovery. So all this stuff, this life on life that I thought was, like I said, some big scary monster, I'm gonna get you. It's beautiful. Life on life is beautiful for me because I can take whatever comes at me with an open mind, a big heart, and do the best that I can with it in that moment. And I think through watching you guys and the people that came before me and the people that have dealt with that rough stuff that'll hurt you, that can take you out if you don't perceive it and work through it correctly. You know, I watch y'all do that, and it's like, okay, so this is possible. You're a human being like me. I know I'm not gonna be so under a rock to believe that something isn't going to happen to me. Like I say it all the time when I'm talking about recovery. I believe that recovery is a process of preparation for me. This is my perspective, that I'm preparing for good, bad, indifferent to happen. I got to be prepared for when this stuff is coming. I'm not going to sit around and catastrophize that, oh, my mom might pass away in 20 years. I'm going to freak out then. What I can do is the action part of it today and make sure that I'm spiritually fit. Make sure that I pay attention to the people that are dealing with these things, that are living that nightmare. You know what I'm saying? That I know it will be. You know, nobody likes past. I mean, okay, so not speaking any names, but an individual is having a funeral today. You know what I mean? That's life on life. That hurt. That's, you know, people passing when you're in recovery from this disease hurts, man. But I've dealt with it in a positive manner. No boo. Well, I've had my boo-hoos. Not gonna lie, I'm soft. I cry, but I use that as ammunition, man. And I believe since that day I've been more fired up, and that's my perspective on it. You know, I'm not scared of life on life. I used to be. I used to be.
That reminds me of a conversation I had with a brother early in his recovery, and he was like, "Man, I thought this was gonna be way harder. There's no big thing," and I'm like, you know, you probably have dealt with more things than you realize, but it's how you're looking at them and how you're dealing with them. Exactly. It's the positive attitude. Yeah. It's the perspective on it. It's like choosing not to focus on the negative of it. I mean, and it takes work to train your mind to think that way. It takes relying on other people. But, you know, really, life happens for everybody, and it's all about, for anybody, whether you're in recovery or not, it's how you handle the situations in life and how you let them affect you, you know, and some are harder than others, but it doesn't have to be as hard as we sometimes can make it.
Yeah. I'd get high over a late bill. You know what I mean? I get high over something too good happening.
Right, yeah. Sunny day.
Yeah, and that would be my reason, but like I have the outlets that I have in my recovery are so wide. I have a coping skill for almost everything that's happened to me so far. I haven't had, like I said, I tell people that recovery is easy for me, and I don't mean that in some macho look at me ego
cocky
trip.
Man.
Yeah. What it means for me is that like I said before, life was terrible. Okay, it was. I remember being hungry and alone. I always say that. That's what I remember. It's not like that no more. I got every reason in the world to look at life in a positive light today. If I don't, then I'm choosing to be negative. I promise you. And I'm not. I can be negative if I want, but I choose to be happy, smiley, because there's some people out there that are struggling with life on life. And I think they need somebody to look at and be like, hey, he's happy. I can do that too. So
we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, did you know it's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland because they get lonely? Here at Turning Point, we don't want you to ever be lonely either. That's why we're open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Always feel free to come hang with our friendly staff, and don't forget your guinea pig. We're located at 415 Broadway Street, downtown Paducah. As a woman in recovery, I know how important having a fellowship of women has been for me. Come join us at the Women of Worth All Recovery Support Group here at Turning Point, 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky, every Friday night at 6 p.m., where we discuss our personal experiences in recovery. Hope to see you there.
There you go. My perspective.
What about you, Daphne? Have you dealt with or dealing with anything that...
I have dealt with some things. My mom got lung cancer, and I thought I was going to lose her, and which she has custody of my daughter. So I wasn't for sure where that was going to go or what was going to happen. It was a big, and I'm horrible at catastrophizing things, So I'm like, oh, she's going to die. I'm never going to see my kid again, So it was hard to deal with that. But I knew that the one thing that I could do for that situation was not use. That was the most important thing, that no matter whatever happens, I don't have to use over it. I still struggle with not having my daughter in my life, and I did this to myself. When my daughter was 2, she overdosed on blood pressure medication while she was at a visit with her dad. And so social services took her from me. And I gave them no reason to give her back whatsoever, because when they took her, I just started, in my real bad addiction, and it just went crazy for me. I went crazy, literally. My mental health wasn't in check at all, and I was just had unlimited supply and just went off the wall, and for me, I knew the minute that they took her, I would never get her back, So what was the point in trying? So when I did try, it wasn't good enough, because I waited so long to try, and it wasn't good enough. And I threatened the social worker's life. I described to her what I was going to do to her.
Really? Wow.
She quit working for social services a week later. I did some really bad things, and that I was not going to get her back. And when I finally went to treatment, it was too late, and I didn't stay sober after that either. And, I know whether or not she gets to come home or not, that at some point she will come home, whether it's next year, like we plan on going to court, or whether it's when she's 18, as long as I stay sober, she will come home at some point in time, and it's hard to not have her all the time and only see her on weekends, or when, her dad doesn't see her, or if my mom says I can see her, that's a difficult situation to deal with, but as of right now, I get to see her every weekend.
Awesome. I love it.
I can go stay the night at my mom's house with her any night. I have a key to my mom's house. I can go there anytime I want and see her and spend time with her. And I know that in my heart, and my God knows, that there will be a time when we're joined back together fully as mother and daughter. That bond has stayed in place. And I've done some really horrible things, being messed up, coming around her, nodding out, sleeping the whole time she did get to come over, telling her I'd be there and not showing up for a month later.
Yep.
All these things, and they hurt her. And her biggest fear today, she spoke in a meeting and up here at Turning Point one night, and her biggest fear is me relapsing. Because I'm honest with her about my addiction.
Yeah.
And she had everybody crying in the meeting, because it was from her perspective, the only thing she wants her mom to do is to be sober and be back with her mom. And she's so grateful that her mom works in recovery and that she's in recovery, and she hopes that she never uses or has to go through what her mom did,
Right.
And I didn't get to hear it all, but I wish I would have. Because I know I've done a lot of damage. But the hope in that, is no matter how far your child has gone, eventually they will find you and they will come home.
Yeah.
If you're doing right and you're giving back to the life, you know, and being a productive citizen, it comes back to you.
Yeah.
You know, your child will come back around. There's Facebook, Snapchat, all these things, you know, where they can look you up and find you. And if you're in recovery and you're really connecting with people, they're going to be able to find you no matter how far they've gone.
Yeah.
You know, everybody needs their parents. It doesn't matter what we've done. Our love for our child's love for us is unconditional. Mm-hmm. You know, and even when they work through their trauma and stuff, eventually they're going to find you and be like, hey, you know, let's reconnect.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's my hope.
Absolutely.
You know, she's going to come home one day.
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking it to existence, boy. That's that
Right.
positive stuff. I love that.
Right, and it's just going to take the time, and I know it's been a little while already, but it takes time to build back that trust with your parents.
Yes.
You know, but you have faith, you haven't given up hope, you know, and that's what keeps you going. And the fact that she's back in your life now is probably a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I gave them no reason for her to be in my life. But with the bad choices in men, my addiction being horrible, you know, the situations that I put her in, being around strange men, you know, I gave them no reason for her to be in my life.
That is awesome. You're making you're making an impact, just not just in your daughter's life, because she's talking about that fear that she has, which is life on life for her.
Yes.
You know, but you are actively, you know, taking a stand and making sure that doesn't happen. So I commend you for that. That's awesome.
I think that's a powerful story.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
That's
and
good stuff.
it's like those things. That's a heavy thing to deal with, and if you can. It's the people who can survive that, who can deal with that situation right, who can stick it out and be like, no, that's not going to make it any better. You know, it's only going to make it worse. This is what I want. I want my daughter in my life. Mm-hmm. It's those people that it does happen for, that it gets better for, you know. Yes. And so, I believe that's an inspiration for anyone who's dealing with something similar.
For a lot of years, that kept me high.
I bet.
You know? The guilt, shame, and remorse of not being a good mom and letting things get out of hand and choosing a man over my daughter. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that kept me high for a long time. And now it keeps me sober. You know?
Right. That's crazy.
That's good, boy. That's good. That gave me goosebumps.
I know the only thing that I don't have, the only thing I need not to do is get high, and she will come home.
That's beautiful. I can dig it, boy. That's good. What about you, Casey?
Yeah, Casey.
I'm kind of like Nathan, you know. That was one of my biggest fears whenever I was working the fourth step was life on life.
Yeah.
Life had done beat me to a pulp. I've been dead 3 times, brought back. You know, it was like, man, if life gets any worse, how am I going to deal with this?
Yeah.
But on this side of it, you know, life's been great. I got good friends now. I got people I can depend on if I need something. They're just a phone call away. And, you know, out in the madness, you think you got those friends.
Yeah.
But really and truthfully, you don't. No. But, man, I just try to stay around positive people. And the more positive people that I'm around, the better that life gets.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I'm paying my rent, paying my bills.
Buying your own toilet paper?
Buying my own toilet paper, yeah, absolutely. You know, and they talk about, that's one thing you heard coming through treatment. Well, your life's unmanageable before buying your toilet paper, and they don't do that for me today.
Yeah.
I managed to buy my first vehicle on my own without having to have no help.
Heck yeah.
My daughter and my granddaughters, you know, this last time that I got arrested, she told me, she said, if you don't get help, we're out of your life. She said, so you got 1 or 2 choices. I get to go see my granddaughters today, you know.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. They don't remember, my granddaughters don't remember the bad side of me, so I don't have to worry about, well, what do I got to do to make them like me? What do I got to do to prove to them that I'm not that person no more? Yeah. So I just get to be who God intended for me to be, you know. I get to help people today instead of hurt people. It's a whole lot easier to live life like this than it was the way that I used to live it.
100% agree.
I hear somebody knock on my door. I ain't worried is that the cops. Do I got to run out the back door? None of that stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah, life's just great. It's just I do the things that they taught me to do. I go to my meetings. I talk to my sponsor. I hang around people that's trying to do the same thing that I'm doing. It's hard sometimes when you see your buddies fail. You know, it's like, man, that could be me. Yeah. But in the same aspect, I'd rather it be them than me. I know that sounds cold-hearted, but
Yeah, I mean, you got to use it as inspiration in some way, like, because we don't want to go back there, and it's going to happen. Some people don't handle life on life or don't handle those situations the way some of us do, and it hits harder, and everybody's at different levels, and it takes work, and it's a group effort, and it's sad, but it can be really happy, There's always sad stories when there's a happy story. There's always the yin to the yang. There's always that, and those are the struggles of recovery, man, and especially working in recovery and having to see it in your face all the time. But I'm just grateful for the opportunity because they're all the ones that we can help. There are the success stories. Seeing people change their lives around, like I remember when Casey got to Centerpoint, man, he was angry, like had a big chip on his shoulder, and today he peer mentored, he's a caseworker over there, he's doing good things, and I'm
buying
super
his own
proud
toilet
of him,
paper.
buying his own toilet paper.
We'll be right back.
Did you know that recovery from substance use disorder and mental health go hand in hand? That is why the caring and compassionate mental health professionals at Four Rivers Behavioral Health in Paducah are here to help you find your balance. They are proud of you for making the changes necessary to live a healthier life and would love to see you reach your full potential. Give them a call at 270-442-7121 or stop by the downtown location at 425 Broadway in Paducah, Kentucky.
One thing I have always wondered is who put the alphabet in alphabetical order. At Turning Point, our goal is to help you put your life back in order. If you struggle or have struggled with substance use disorder and are in need of help, come see us at 415 Broadway Street, Paducah, Kentucky, or call 270-444-3621 and sign up for peer support services with one of our friendly staff who have lived experience with addiction. Hope to see you soon. So
I'll tell you what, so I just thought about it. I know I haven't experienced everything I'm going to experience, but the cool thing is about life today is I can remember things that I'm experiencing, and I can appreciate them for what they are. When I talk about having a positive attitude and all this stuff, I get to face everything head on. I ain't hanging my head. I'm not ashamed of me. I'm not ashamed of what I think people think of me. So, bring it on, man. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, I hope something bad happens to me, but I'm okay with just the way life's just going. I'm not, I don't know. I feel like I know. I'll say I know. I'm in the best headspace that I've ever been in. And, I respect myself. I have high hopes for the future. That's life on life big time for me. I got somewhere I'm trying to get. And whatever steps I got to take to get there. And even though I've had struggles in my own way, you know what I mean? I still deal with stuff, but, I like hearing stuff like Daphne, man. I'm that kind of person. That's exactly the embodiment. What you said is the embodiment of my outlook on this thing. I'm going to make this happen. This is what it's going to be. And if you set your mind on, for me, if you set your mind on that right there, you're just going to naturally navigate the proper channels that you have to, because that's what you want. If I want to get sober, I'm going to do what it takes to get sober.
Absolutely.
If I want to go to school, I'm going to do what it takes to go to school. Matt saw me when I was getting my driver's license back, and I freaked out.
Yeah.
But I was on it. Now, that you've got a goal, goal setting and all that stuff too, but life ain't as bad as people sometimes make it. But I made myself a victim for so long.
Yes.
When it comes to life on life, I let myself beat myself up, and just was okay with it. I'm not going to be a victim of life on life anymore. I'm going to make life my life. I'm going to make it worth living, and it is today. Living for my family, my friends, the people that I'm trying to help. I've got a million reasons why I want to live. I can't think of one reason why I don't. And used to, it was completely opposite. I'm not afraid anymore, and it's just powerful to me. I choose to be happy today, and like I said, I know I haven't gone through everything I'm going to go through, but I'm going to keep on preparing, And I don't know. I might have an overbearing, enthusiastic attitude when it comes. Sometimes I know I do, but it comes from a place of I've been down, you know.
Right, yeah. I mean, your story, homeless in jail, no one to turn to where you've made it to today. Like, I get why you got such a positive, like, you had nothing. You were all the way broken down, and you had all these opportunities presented to you, and you took advantage of them, and they just kept falling in your lap. And it doesn't happen as easily for all of us, but, at least you appreciate that,
Yeah, and it's that enthusiastic behavior that I've seen coming through the program from people like you and Matt and my sponsor and some of the peer mentors that I had at Centerpoint, that's what made recovery appealing for me. If all I seen was people that was miserable and not happy, why would I want to be that way?
Right.
But I'm around people like y'all today, and that makes life enjoyable for me because I know there's guys that's looking at me that's like, well, if that guy can get sober, I know I can. I remember when he come in here, he was miserable. Look at him now, and I try not to be that miserable person.
Yeah, that's such a good feeling too when people look at you.
Another thing that I think of too with being positive, is my mental health.
Yeah,
having it in check, being in recovery for my mental health has helped so much for me to be able to deal with life on life's terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it plays such a major role in my recovery.
Yeah.
Because I know if I don't have my mental health, I'm not going to stay sober.
Right. And that's worth the conversation in its own right, is taking care of your mental health and recovery. It's definitely important because, I understand where a lot of struggles can come from. People we work with, people we've seen, and dealing with my own things. That your perception can get a little messed up sometimes about things. And I always applaud people that are willing to take the necessary steps to take care of their mental health, along with substance use disorder, because that can be a challenge. I don't struggle. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do. But the people that I've watched have the challenges, and they're getting through. That's inspiration, and I love it. It's good to see. Awesome.
Yeah, dual diagnosis and recovery. I've always felt, because I haven't struggled with mental health in that way, not since I was really young, and I just can not imagine how much harder that makes this, to have to deal with so much going on that you can't control. And I applaud those people, the ones that make it. And I know a bunch of success stories that figure it out. And, that too takes work, and it takes willingness. And that's what this program's all about, man.
Yeah, I get it. And the life on life thing, too, touch back on it. It's I'm hoping, anybody that sees me, I hope they don't be like, oh, he just had it easy. I don't want to be that guy that's just like, oh, it's just fucking, it's just easy for him. Passion, sorry. that is just easy for him because, I keep saying it's easier than it used to be. Like, I could say that over and over and over and over, but I've earned my spot where I'm at today.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now, I've earned it. And, I'm going to continue to earn it, just like you're going to earn the relationship back with your family. You're going to continue to earn the love and admiration of your grandkids. You're going to continue to earn your spiritual condition that you've gained. That's so much bigger than it ever has been. You know what I mean? Those are things we get to do, And the fact that I even have the opportunity to do that when I should be dead I got every reason to be positive. So if I ever am too positive, just tell me shut up and go away. That'd be okay.
Yeah. Well, shut up and go away then.
Just got to finish this podcast, bro.
No, but I think, here's the thing. Like, we've gotten good at practicing doing the things that are good to deal with. We've dealt with stuff. We've figured out ways to do it. And what did we do to do that? We relied on our higher power, on God. We relied on our brothers and sisters. We relied on, our sponsor or, a trusted friend.
Yep.
And those are the things that I just encourage anybody who's listening or watching that is going through something or think things are hard. There are people who've been there who understand and want to help. And, you have to, sometimes that's the hardest part is reaching out and asking for help from somebody else. I know it used to be for me, man. I thought I had to handle it on my own or it just wasn't going to get handled. But the great thing about this is, and recovery is such a strong community. I know, especially around here, is
Yeah.
such a big, strong community, and everyone is willing to help everybody. And we just want to see other people succeed and get their lives back together. And, you know, when you're dealing with something, you have to utilize the people around you that care. And you have to build that community or those relationships, you know, and that takes being present, not isolating and trying to deal with everything on your own.
I agree.
But does anybody have anything else they'd want to, any inspirational words?
Just like you said, you never have to do it alone. Never have to do it alone.
All right, well, I appreciate you guys for coming on. Watch us on YouTube or check out our audio versions on Apple, Google, Spotify, or Podbean. And as always, stay grateful.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.